Well, His Excellency Paul Arkwright still with us here, but it's the home stretch. And very quickly, I'm even tempted to ask you if you're the one handling your Twitter account yourself. You take time to do all of that, and you say you're tweeting about UK's support for Nigeria and your experiences and reflections on your new friend, JJ Okocha. We'll talk about that before we leave, but now the big news is the Trump presidency, which we're likely to see in some few hours from now. What are the expectations of the UK and your thinking of his administration that he's already putting together?
Well, thank you. Yes, it's a big day. It's a very important day and an exciting day for the US, but of course for everybody around the world. There's a huge amount of interest in what the president is going to say in his inauguration speech. I'm very interested in that. Of course, I have no idea what it is that he's going to say. But I do hope that what he says resonates around the world, that the United States will remain, as it always has been, an open country, a welcoming country, and one that wants to do trade with the world. So let's see what he says. But regardless of what he says, the position of the United Kingdom is very clear. Whoever is in power in the White House, whichever government is there in Washington, is a government that we will do business with. We have very, very long-standing historical ties with the US, just as we do here in Nigeria. I don't think that will change. I think we can always establish very strong relationships from the very top between the Prime Minister of the UK and the President of the US, but all the way down as well. And we are very interested, obviously, in who he has chosen for the new administration. I think it's too early to say now, how those relationships will develop, not least because, of course, they haven't yet started in office. But as soon as they do, I'm sure that their equivalent ministers in the UK will be meeting them very, very soon. We'll be discussing the common agenda. I mean, that will involve trade, but it will also involve some of the global issues around terrorism, around climate change and the environment, around security more broadly, Syria, Iran, Iraq and Libya, and other problems around the world that really we need to work together as an international community to resolve. And the UK and the US have always stood side by side. I don't see that changing at all. But let's see what the policies are. Let's see what's in the speech and take it from there.
Mr. Arkwright, we won't let you go without asking you what's the situation with the exit from the EU?
Yes, well, your viewers may well have picked up, and I know you were reporting the speech that my Prime Minister made just a couple of days ago. It was an important speech that set out the broad lines of what we hope to achieve, the government hopes to achieve as a result of the negotiation for leaving the EU. She made it very clear that there is no alternative. There was a referendum last June. There was a very clear outcome to that referendum, and therefore the UK will be leaving the European Union. But we'll do so as a result of negotiations which will ensure that the position of the UK is well protected, in particular in this trade area. But that it's not just about the UK, it's about the world, it's about a Britain that remains tolerant, outward-looking, open to talent, open for business, and which is looking to strengthen some of those relationships which over the years have maybe not received quite as much attention as they should have done. And I know that the government is looking at the links between the UK and the Commonwealth and the countries in the Commonwealth. And I see great opportunities for the UK in leaving the European Union, not least here in Nigeria. Long-standing historical ties, a huge diaspora that is really helping the diversity of the UK, helping in so many different ways through culture, sport, politics, business, of course. And I think that will continue. And indeed, there will be new opportunities. And let's see what comes from the negotiations over the next 2 years. But I do expect the UK to emerge stronger from those negotiations and to be in a position where we can engage perhaps even more directly with countries like Nigeria to strengthen those traditional relationships, to modernize them, to see what more we can do in the trade area. I do think it's a very exciting time. for the UK. It's an uncertain time, of course, as well, but that uncertainty will, I'm sure, go away once we know the outcome of those negotiations, which will be triggered by the end of March, and which could continue for as long as 2 years. But I think in the speech that the Prime Minister made just a couple of days ago, we're seeing the outlines of the vision that she has for a United Kingdom which is independent, strong, but very much engaged with the outside world and open to outside influences. And she talked about being a magnet for international talent. And I've seen so much talent here in Nigeria, and I'm quite sure that a lot of that talent from Nigeria will be heading in the direction of the UK, and we would strongly welcome that.
Now we'll close on this, and it has to do with your activity on Twitter specifically and how busy that has been. And I keep asking if that's actually you tweeting and talking about love for JJ Okocha and Bolton Wanderers. That's your club. I'm quite sure you're from Bolton, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you're quite right there, Sulai. Yeah, I am from Bolton. I've not met too many Bolton Wanderers fans who are not from Bolton, it has to be said. I'm still waiting to meet a few Nigerians who maybe just would prefer to support Bolton rather than Arsenal or Man United or Liverpool or one of those other big clubs. That's very boring in my view if you support one of those teams. I know I've just offended at least half of Nigeria. But yes, when Sam Allardyce, who your viewers will also know now, of course, manager of Crystal Palace, briefly manager of England, took over at Bolton Wanderers, he brought together a sort of galaxy of stars. And probably the brightest star shining in that particular galaxy was JJ Okocha. And so when I heard that I was coming to Nigeria as the British High Commissioner, one of my top objectives, maybe not the very top, but one of my top objectives was to meet JJ, to get to know JJ. And to get to know this footballer, a great footballer who was a hero of mine when I was watching him play for Bolton in the heady days when we were in Europe. Anyway, I succeeded. I've got to meet him. He's a great guy. We have a very good friendship, and I do see him from time to time in Lagos. And it's always wonderful to catch up with him. So I'm particularly pleased that I've been given that opportunity. But I'm a big football fan, like so many Nigerians. And it's great to be part of the Nigerian enthusiasm for British football. I just wish that a little bit more of that enthusiasm headed in the direction of my hometown club, but maybe that's wishful thinking.
I can assure you after today you'll be winning more supporters for Bolton Wanderers, and perhaps maybe some in the studios here will be rooting for Bolton Wanderers. It's a pleasure having you this morning, His Excellency Paul Arkwright.
Let me know, Soleil. Let me know next time you're heading for Bolton. I'll make sure you get a ticket for the game, okay?
Absolutely. I take that. Thank you very much. Well, it's a wrap with His Excellency, and you got his Twitter handle. You can follow him, especially if you love Bolton Wanderers. But for some of us here, we're rooting for Ikorodu United and Warri Wolves. Sunrise Daily takes a moment, and we'll return shortly. Stay with us.